As the Kansas City Chiefs prepare for their third Super Bowl in 4 years, today we will focus on that. The key to the Kansas City Chiefs' success and the longevity of it, and if anyone can replicate that in the future. But before we do dive into this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video, as I'm going to keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chiefs related that you do not want to miss out on. And without further ado, let's have some fun. As we focus on the Kansas City Chiefs today and the longevity of their basically greatness, and yes, before we get into that, I'm not calling the Kansas City Chiefs a dynasty or one of the greatest team ever. I'm not throwing shade towards the old Pittsburgh Steelers, Dallas Cowboys, New England Patriots. You guys get the drift. What I am focusing on now, which I do think needs its respect, is what the Kansas City Chiefs have done for the better half of 5 years, and also even before the Mahomes era and the whole Andy Reid era. It's something I want to take a deep dive in and also see, is this something that can be sustainable for the future, definitely for the Kansas City Chiefs, and how they do it, and if any team can replicate that and try to be as successful for them. So let's have fun and let's discuss. So how we're going to break this down, it's going to be into 4 different categories on how I feel the Kansas City Chiefs have sustained success throughout these years and have been successful for a whole longevity of time, and basically not give a formula, because any NFL front management knows what they do to need to be successful. It's how do they execute and perform it. So we're going to look at the Kansas City Chiefs front office throughout all of this. But the one key component is going to be my number one component at the end of this video, where I feel the Kansas City Chiefs have an edge over everyone else. And I just don't believe anyone in the NFL can replicate that. But with that, we're going to start with basically number 1, number 4. It's going to go bottom to highest. And we're going to rank number 4 right now. And I believe it's Brett Veach, the GM. He's going to be mentioned throughout this video multiple times, but in the draft picks. Now, I feel, and you guys can have a different view on this too, because in last year's previous Super Bowl, Sean McVay shown, hey, screw them draft picks. Get your players now, win to succeed. And it's kind of a formula the Eagles have used now. They were busy this offseason. They put these pieces together, and now they're in the Super Bowl. But the Kansas City Chiefs, they went a different path. The past 2 years, they have been hitting on these draft picks, and it's been young core players. Just look at the guys in this year's draft. They have been key components throughout the year, and specifically in the AFC Championship game when a lot of players were down. And that is huge to build a team for the future, because you're not tying big dollar signs right now. They are on rookie contracts. That means you're not tying those top-end free agents. You are basically letting players play on 4 or 5 year deals if they're a first-round draft pick. But even looking at last year's draft, I think there was a total of, 10, 11 picks, and more than half of them played key pivotal roles throughout the year. You're looking at Trent McDuffie, George Karlaftis, Brian Cook at the end of the year, Isaiah Pacheco, Jalen Watson, 7th-round draft picks, Joshua Williams. People would hope to get two solid names out of that group. Kansas City's playing with 5 or 6 just off of last year's draft class. That is huge, and it is a testament to what Brett Veach and the scouting crew does every year and year out. And they just build a team throughout the draft, and it's exciting to see, because in this year's draft, they already got 12 picks. So they can use them all and build this team to become stronger, or they can use it for trade capital for anyone they want. That's how dangerous this team can be. This front office has kept this team so successful and can keep them scary in the future. And I also wanted to mention as well, what you've seen in the AFC Championship, or what you've seen throughout this year, this is probably going to be, and I don't knock on wood or anything like that, without injuries, this is going to probably be the youngest and, I don't want to say worst talent, but inexperienced talent that the Kansas City Chiefs will put on the field, because next year, now they're becoming seasoned vets. Honestly, once the playoffs start, rookies, they're not called rookies no more, because they have a full season under their belt. Now it's time to play ball, and that's what the Kansas City Chiefs have. And now they can bring another 10 plus guys in, and you're working with youth, but now you're working with youth and veterans at the same time who have playoff experience, who now have Super Bowl experience and can train these young guns right. What the Kansas City Chiefs and Brett Veach have done to build this team has been nothing short of amazing, and it's what a lot of front offices would hope to do. And that's how you keep one key successful component on an NFL team. My number 2 thing is still sticking with Brett Veach, but now you're going to focus on the free agency and you're going to focus on the offseason. It's crazy. And I'm a prisoner of the moment as well when it comes to free agency, because I'm the guy who will be looking day in, day out, hours and hours, hoping for the big free agent name to come to Kansas City. And 9 times out of 10, that is not the case. And definitely that wasn't the case last year in Kansas City. Actually, they were once giving away free agent acquisitions with Tyreek Hill via trade. They let Tyrann Mathieu walk. They let Charvarius Ward walk. They let Melvin Ingram walk. Big names last year that helped them take to the AFC Championship game. And now Kansas City looks like they have all these question marks and holes. Even with teams in their division like Denver stepping up, the LA Chargers stepping up, and the Las Vegas Raiders stepping up, it made a lot of people feel like the Kansas City Chiefs take a step back. What you got to really appreciate about Brett Veach, and what you can't underline anymore, is he knows how to play free agency better than others. He isn't always going to go after the big, sexy name. He will, and he might strike out from here and there. But he is always going to fill a hole on this team with the best player in that position. Just look at it. Tyrann Mathieu walked. He filled in that spot with Justin Reed. In the beginning of the year, it looked very, very questionable if Reed could fill that hole. Now we came into December football and playoff football, and he is playing like one of the best safeties in my eyes. He's looked very good coverage-wise, and we brought him in here to be a great tackler, and that's what is starting to click too. You can see he's starting to really grasp Spag's scheme and become a leader too. Him and Juan Thornhill have really started to turn things around. And then when you lose a key guy like Tyreek Hill, but it wasn't just Tyreek as well. You lost Demarcus Robinson and you lost Byron Pringle. You needed to bring wide receivers in, and that's what they did with the likes of Juju, MVS, and Justin Watson. Guys who don't even know Andy Reid's scheme whatsoever, and Andy Reid's scheme and playbook has been one that been heard most difficult to learn. These boys stepped in. Juju played like a number one wide receiver throughout the year, and the Kansas City Chiefs need to re-sign him. MVS, yes, it has been inconsistent, but he has known to make plays, and he made plays when the light shined the brightest in the AFC Championship game. And Justin Watson, for a number 6 wide receiver, you could say what it may be, he has made some splash plays. Brett Veach also did not spend too much money on these guys. They were veterans. He knew they needed to be signed and filled in, and most importantly, it was guys Patrick Mahomes recommended to say, hey, I would like them on this team. Let's build this chemistry early on the route to get back to another Super Bowl. But one that really hurt Chiefs Kingdom besides the Tyreek Hill trade and was Melvin Ingram. A lot of Chiefs Kingdom was very, very upset to see him walk. And the Kansas City Chiefs even tried to bring him back. They tendered him, and Miami just ended up paying him more. What happens next? The Kansas City Chiefs bring in Carlos Dunlap. And you could give it for what it may be worth, but I feel like Carlos Dunlap has been better than Melvin Ingram was last year. It's not no slight on Melvin Ingram whatsoever, because I loved watching Melvin Ingram play with the Kansas City Chiefs. And he had a very solid year with the Miami Dolphins. But what Carlos Dunlap has brought to this team, and just a veteran presence as well, and another rotational pass rusher to have this team be second in the league in sacks, it has been a really great thing too. And I'm going to keep mentioning it. Brett Veach did not break the bank on any of these guys, and they were key contributors throughout the season. That is something a lot of teams need to learn in free agency as well, and even fan bases, is when you pay those big dollar signs on those big, sexy name players, yeah, it's nice in the moment. You can win the offseason, but that doesn't get you a Lombardi trophy at the end of the day. My third thing, and it's probably one of the most crucial things, it's coaching. As long as you got Big Red out there and Andy Reid, you're going to have a successful team. And he's shown that with the Philadelphia Eagles and now with the Kansas City Chiefs. What other coach has done what he's done? Yes, we all claim Bill Belichick as one of the greatest coaches to ever do it. But now it's starting to get to the point, at least in my eyes, and maybe I'm being biased as well, is Andy Reid needs to be held in that regard as one of the greatest coaches to ever do it. He took the Philadelphia Eagles to 5 straight championships. Now he's taken the Kansas City Chiefs to 5 straight championships and 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. If he can add another ring to his resume, I don't know how you can't deny him to put him in that category with Bill Belichick. But also, focus on this coaching in whole too as well. Eric Bieniemy has got a lot of slight too, but at the end of the day, he's going to be a head coach in this league. I don't know if it will be this year. I know he probably won't be with the Kansas City Chiefs next year, but he'll be with another offensive coordinator, try to solidify his role and make sure he gets a head coaching job. But you got quarterback coach and Matt Nagy, who might be elevated to offensive coordinator with the Kansas City Chiefs, and Spags. We give him a lot of slack throughout the year. And yes, he does make a lot of questionable calls. But you can see the improvement on this defense. We would love to see the consistency. But when those boys need to play their best ball on defense, they have done it throughout this playoff reign. And it has been exciting to see. But the probably best acquisition throughout this offseason was on the coaching side and on the defensive side of the ball with Joe Colen coming from Jacksonville. He has bolstered this defensive line immensely. And basically, a team that struggled to get sacks last year, to get pressures, second in the league. And if you want to have a really good, consistent winning streak, winning seasons, or a good camaraderie in the locker room, your coaches have to be in line. And the Kansas City Chiefs, they've had turnovers time in and time out with coaching because either they become head coaches or they wanted to move on to bigger and better things. And it's almost happened every year. But day in and day out, Coach Reid knows how to put the correct staff together. And I know a lot of people mention, well, once Coach Reid is gone, what happens with the Kansas City Chiefs next? It's a very good question. But I'm living in the moment right now. And right now, it doesn't look like Coach Reid's going to be gone for a little bit because Patrick Mahomes brings that youth to him. And I know he wants to coach him for as long as possible because that gives him the best chance to add more rings to his resume. And Andy Reid looks like he's having fun scheming up and dialing up new offensive plays. And if the Kansas City Chiefs are winning, I don't see Coach Reid leaving, but hey, who knows? Right now, I'm living in the moment, and in the moment, coaching is huge. From head coaching to even the core guys on the offense and defensive side of the ball. And that goes for any team around the league. And now as we focus on the number one thing, it's the most important thing. And it's the thing no team, I believe, will ever be able to replicate. And it is Patrick Mahomes. But it's not in the essence that you think I'm about to talk about it right now. Of course, Patrick Mahomes is on his way to be one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, as he's doing things no one has ever seen or heard of in their first 5 years of the season. But that is not what makes Patrick Mahomes great. I mean, it is. But what I'm going to focus on right now and what other teams are going to struggle to do with their young quarterbacks is no young QB in this league is going to sign a 10-year deal to basically help their team with draft capital, with assets around to have free agent spending money whatsoever. Yes, when Patrick Mahomes signed the deal for 10 years, $500 million, it looked like a baseball player type of deal. But at the end of the day, 10 years, you could spread that money throughout and have fun with it. And he basically gave you guys life to where you could sign anyone you want and help bolster this team and make sure your team is in contention throughout the years. Now you focus on guys that are coming up, like Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, these young guns that the Chargers, the Bengals, they're going to have to tie that money in. And I don't believe we will ever see another quarterback take that type of contract because a lot of people will say, that's not smart to do. But when your quarterback loves the city and when your quarterback is committed to winning and when your quarterback has a coach like Andy Reid, I'd be very interested to see what a Joe Burrow deal looks like, what a Lamar Jackson deal looks like, or a Justin Herbert. Average, those yearly deals are 5 to 6 years, which means you're cutting in half a Patrick Mahomes deal, and that means a lot of that money is tied into those years. So that means Bengals are seeing it right now. T. Higgins might be on the move. The Chargers will have to deal with that in the future too. So you sign quarterbacks to a long-term deal, that means you're going to be losing players, good, valuable players, where Kansas City, they might not get hurt with that. And you could say, oh, well, they lost Tyreek Hill. That was a Tyreek Hill decision and also a front office decision. Kansas City offered Tyreek Hill the money. He just wanted more and he wanted to play elsewhere. And hey, he's doing good elsewhere. But if you want a very, very long, consistent winning streak, or I don't even want to call it streak because I don't even think that's the right word. But if you basically want to be in contention year in and year out, it's what you're going to tie your quarterback down to. And Kansas City, yes, they tie their quarterback down to top dollars, but throughout 10 years. When you're tied down through 5 or 6 years, it makes it a lot more harder to move money around and you lose key components. Patrick Mahomes made the Kansas City Chiefs' life a lot more easier by the deal he signed. And now you hear fan bases saying, oh, that's only going to last so long because Patrick Mahomes is going to want an extension. And so be it. He may want an extension. And he deserves an extension. And he does deserve more annually as well. But at the end of the day, you guys got to know how contracts work. If Patrick Mahomes, let's say, was to get an extension this offseason, most of that contract is going to be backloaded. So that means actually I don't know the yearly for his next year what he's going to make, but let's say it's like 40 million or something like that. And you restructure a contract or do a contract extension, that means most of that money is getting pushed back. That means that 40 million this year could turn into 25 to 30 million, and Kansas City is still saving money. At the end of the day, it's a win-win scenario whether Patrick Mahomes is on his current contract or if he has a contract extension. The Kansas City Chiefs got the best quarterback in the league and also someone who wants to fight and win Super Bowls. And at the end of the day, you won't find many players like that. He's a very, very rare breed, and he puts the Kansas City Chiefs in best way, in best contention to be good throughout a longevity of the Kansas City Chiefs and his career. But with that, Chief Kingdom, I am going to close out this video. Let me know how you feel on some of the topics I discussed, and let me know if I'm right, wrong. I could be crazy, but with those four key components, it gives the Kansas City Chiefs the best way to win. And I think it puts them way ahead of the pack. And that's why everyone is always gunning for the Kansas City Chiefs and trying to take them down. As long as they got their core, it's going to be hard to break down. With that, I will be checking out. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you did like this video, please give me a big thumbs up. Y'all take care. Peace.